Deadzone Rogue is finally out on consoles, but is it fun? Turn the volume up, let's talk about it. Yes, that's right, Deadzone Rogue is out on console. It's been out on PC for a few weeks now. As a full release, this thing was in early access for a little while. But we don't really review early access games till they come out here. And this is it fun? Where the review metric is it fun or not? Very simple to follow on. What is Deadzone Rogue? It's a roguelike, which some people already will back away here. Or just hang in there a little bit if you're not into the roguelikes, because it is a sci-fi FPS shooter in semi-degenerative levels that I would say like borderline sort of dungeon crawly kind of aspects, but doesn't go like fully all the way there. Pretty much, not to go through too many spoilers, there's not too much story here anyway, but you're on an abandoned ship. There's 3 different zones. We'll get to that in a little bit, but you're just trying to clear room by room and then just progressing along pretty much through the ship until you get to about level 30, sometimes level 50, sometimes level 20, just to finish that run. So there's 3 zones, as I mentioned before. Then there's like sub-variants of those zones, which usually happens in roguelikes. For instance, within zone 1, there'll be like a close quarters area where it's just shotguns only. Then there's like a snipers only run, and those ones are usually just a little bit smaller. They're usually like 10 levels, 10 rooms or 20 rooms. There's a boss fight usually every 10 rooms, and then once you complete a room, you get some sort of upgrade. Whether that be an item that sort of boosts some stats, whether it be an augment, which is just, something that completely boosts up your stats and probably a little bit more dictates your playstyle. It could be weapons, it could be boosts to certain attributes, like, say for instance that your Cairo, your ice weapons do very well and get a different weapon buff. At the end of 4 or 5 levels, you get to go through a computer and sort of pick from 3 other weapons. Otherwise you get to upgrade your stuff, so you can sort of keep things if it sort of fits your play mold. Otherwise there might be a weapon that you may have been forced to pick up an upgrade that may, say for instance, help with fire weapons, but you haven't picked up a fire weapon, so you find one in there. Otherwise you might already have fire weapons, so you just want to kind of upgrade that just because it fits your playstyle. There's all sorts of different items and everything that you can sort of play. Like what you're seeing here is a playstyle where if I get a kill with a gun, then my other gun reloads. So you get 2 weapons, a primary and a secondary. It reloads automatically, and when I swap out, the first 5 seconds, it doesn't count as ammo taken away. So you can kind of see that I can kind of just start blitzing my way through games, and I've purposely taken weapons that just have a real quick fire rate for this. There's no point really getting a light machine gun or a minigun. You just want to be balls to the wall if you're going this sort of strat. But there's a whole mess of different play styles, different ways to play. I've completed games with sniper rifles. I've done it with, a machine gun and a shotgun. So there's whole different ways to play this game. And this is where this game really does sing, and why I say, like, if you don't like roguelikes, maybe just still give this one a chance. The price point's quite low. It was like $30-something AUD, so my guess is it's somewhere, that's Australian dollars for those playing at home. My guess is probably around the 20 USD mark. You don't need the DLC right away. You can just sort of play along as you go through. But there's a lot of game here. It's a very fast-paced, I would kind of say, like, almost has arena shooter kind of metrics to it, but it also does have aim down sight and very snappy weaponry, very snappy shooting, very, very good hitbox registry, and it's just satisfying killing something. Compared to some of the other shooters that I've played recently, where I just think like Metal Eden's a prime example, where you killed something, you just really got no satisfaction. This game, you really do feel like you've killed something, and I don't know, you just get a sense of achievement with it. Roguelikes obviously have a lot of replayability. There's a bit of, well, you just got kicked in the balls. Do you want to play again? Balatro is the prime example of this kind of gameplay that, at least that I've got myself into myself. Roguelikes can be real hit and miss with everything. Obviously, it's not an FPS. The one thing that I would say is different from this game to like a Balatro or some other roguelikes is even though you failed a run, you get tech, you get upgrades, there's always ways to progress the game. So at the end of as I mentioned, at the end of every room, there's upgrades. Well, at the end of every run, you can also upgrade, say, percentage of weapon damage or your starting health, or as you get into zone 2, which is the next kind of group of levels, and then the sub-levels with that, there's also a bunch of items that you can get in those ones, and zone 3 has another set of items on top of it. I should mention that zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, it gets harder as you go to the zones, but the game gives you more tools and more things to kind of build along the way to deal with that. So I always think that you're just always in this game. Sometimes roguelikes can be just really too hard for the sake of it, just to make you come back. Whenever I die, I just think like it's usually something that I did that wasn't perfected, and you kind of want to go back into the game, and you might get an upgrade or two. You might be like, well, I just got 10% more health. I'm doing 5% more damage. I can probably optimize this run by doing this, this, and this, and this. And then obviously you're kind of at the whims of the random generator of the items and the various things that you get. Sometimes you run around like I've got now with 4 companion bots. Others you don't get any. And you might, be coming up against upgrades that don't really compatible with each other. But you know that at the end of the game you're at least collecting tech and you're collecting scraps to help you upgrade those, at least your base core stats, so you can go again. So there's never really a wasted run, unlike Balatro, which I think is one of the best games going, at least in the last year. But the one deterrent from Balatro is that once you have a failed run, you've just had a failed run. You're not really achieving or progressing your game further, where here, you're always moving forward at least. And I just feel like whenever you died or failed, it just wasn't like the game cheating you or forcing you to kind of get a certain amount of upgrades or just play a whole bunch of the game to get better. You're just like, yeah, no, I can beat this. And you just constantly have that mindset as you kind of progress through the difficulties and get used to the way it plays. There are some drawbacks to the game. Like it is only a $30 game in Australian dollars. So, look it up at what it is in your own currency. But it's nowhere near a full value game. Like full value games here for Scope are about $100, 110. So, it's probably around, the 70, 80 in American dollars, and where it's $20. There are some, some things here. Like I do think like sometimes the game can be a little bit easy if you optimize the run. And I would say like, there are definitely more powered strats than other things that in the game. There's some things that I would just avoid that I don't think really works. There's some items and some perks that just don't really go with anything, at least that I've found that works. So sometimes the game is a bit samey. I also have only played this game solo, but you can play it 3 people co-op. I've heard the game doesn't really scale to that, so it does get quite easy if you have 3 players that know what they're doing. But in saying that, you still have fun doing that. So it's just probably, it just doesn't scale to get that difficulty level, but you're still getting that satisfaction of completing levels. One thing I would mention too is that it does seem quite a fast-paced game. You can set up in as you go into room to room, you're put into stealth mode. You go through like this little stealth thing, and until you shoot a bullet, the round doesn't really start. So you can kind of set up in a hallway or in a room, or you can maybe get some explosive barrels on the big enemy and just sort of play that room and the obstacles that are in it, which are going to be different every single time, to your play style or the way that you're doing things, which I really do like that kind of element to it. I don't think there's a game that's really done it this way. So so it's not just like the same thing. You kind of have a bit of a balls to the wall moment where you're just like, oh crap, everything's coming at you. There's some levels that are just very open, and you can only set up the best way that you can. But then you kind of get like a bit of a 30-second reprieve from the action to set up and go like, yeah, look, I might start in this hallway, which you might start seeing that a little bit of the gameplay here. You might see me kind of set up in a weird hallway just because I know there's no enemies then coming from behind. And that was usually the way that I played, is just to try to navigate the mobs, to try get them to sort of funnel into sort of some death zone, especially because I was shooting so much. And I didn't really care too much if they came at me in a mob, because I've kind of had like a fire AoE damage. Sometimes you do, like I said, if you've got like a assault rifle that only shoots, a burst or one bullet at a time, or a sniper rifle, you might want to make sure that you're open, because then you can see everything, but you've got a huge field of view. Where in this sort of play run, I wanted everything to be almost as close as possible, but I was just not getting mauled from behind. So that was really my playstyle here, and it just sort of sets that up for play it any way that you want. That's what I really enjoyed. And I just think overall there's a lot of game here. There's really a lot of game here, and I just think it really plays with that roguelike elements quite well for an FPS that's short, sharp, and snappy. And it's just, I don't know, in the world of like, we're getting some pretty bad AAA titles. I'm hoping, towards later end of this year it gets a lot better. It's just refreshing to just have a game that works. Like, and it's a newer developer, and I just enjoy developers that kind of put a bit of heart and soul into just making a good game, and that's what this is. There is a bit of a story here. That's another deterrent, that like There isn't much story here. There is a little bit, but it's not really huge as you kind of pick up little pieces of lore, but it's, nothing game-changing. It's just about the gameplay, and I'm happy with that, especially for the price point that you're getting. You can't compare it to $90. They're not asking for all of that. And yeah, I just enjoy it. Like, I've just enjoyed the game. It's just as simple as that. It is quite fun. It's definitely getting the RetalinLive recommends. Just because, especially for the price point, you're not getting a better game than this that's brand new. And just something short, snappy, different on the market. That's what I really like about it. It's not just a clone of something else. It's taking elements from other games and it's just making it its own. And I really do enjoy that. Anyway, that is the whole video. So if you did make it this far, then you kind of like this video. So hit the subscribe button because it really does help us out. We're a small channel. We do game reviews. We do news when we don't do game reviews. And we do play sessions as well, and we live stream all the time. So if that seems to be somewhere up your alley, again, you've gone more than 10 minutes into this video. Probably should hit that. Comment down below anything to do with this game. Even roguelikes is this, kind of your jam. Comments really do help us out. Plus, I'd like to get different opinions of the way people play, or what people like, or what they mightn't like about this game if they did get it. Especially if I influenced you and you getting it and you didn't enjoy it. If you can tell me why. That really does help us out just because, it's a bit of an echo chamber here. Like, I'm very subjective. I like what I like. So it's nice to get other people's opinions. So then for future reviews, I can be like, if you like this certain thing that you probably wouldn't want to go down this route of game. And then hit the like button because then it algorithms it to someone else. And then they hit the like button. And then it algorithms it to someone else. And they hit the like button. And I can just do this for like 50 minutes where I just keep going down the thing. But it really does affect videos. Like, we do notice that even a video that gets like 8 likes will get like 500 more views. So it really does affect things shockingly. But that's it. I'm going to edit this up, cut this up, and get on out of here. But this has, been a very fun game. And and then I'm over my jet lag for anyone who cares after the Europe trip, which, it's pretty bold of someone to sort of complain about going to Europe. But yeah, coming back, that was rough. It was this is the worst jet lag I ever had, but over it now. I've been pounding coffees today, so that's probably helped a little bit. But yeah, I'm getting on out of here. So see ya. Bye.